Hey pretty viewers, welcome to Literature Nuts. I hope you're all doing well. Have you ever wondered what happens when poets rebel against reason and turns to emotions instead? When nature isn't just scenery but a mirror of the soul. Welcome to the wild, passionate world of romanticism where feelings rule, storms rage and imagination breaks free. This is the first video in a special series on major literary movements, and after this, I'll be diving into realism and naturalism. And once all three are up, I'll be putting them together in a full playlist so you can explore how literature evolved through passion, truth, and nature itself. So stay tuned and let's start where it all began, with Romanticism. The Industrial Revolution was one of the most transformative periods in human history. It began in Britain in the late 18th century and spread to other parts of the world over the next century. The Industrial Revolution was a period of rapid technological, economic, and social change where manual labor and handmade goods were replaced by machines, mass production, and factory system. Around the late 18th century and mid-19th century, the Industrial Revolution was on its peak. Many public lands were owned by the government. Monarchy had a strong hold on masses. They used to control those poor people, and because of industrial work in factories, people had to work 19 hours a day without much wages. They worked in dangerous factory conditions. The smoke-filled environment that destroyed nature caused severe, untreatable health issues. It was a really hard time for those people to survive in that society. As we have learned about the destruction of the London city caused by industrialization in the poem London by William Blake in the first lesson I uploaded. So this was the historical context of where our first literary movement, Romanticism, was coming from. Romanticism emerged as a reaction against the Enlightenment, reason, logic, science, and Industrial Revolution, mechanization, loss of nature. When we say Romanticism emerged as a reaction against the Enlightenment, we mean that Romantic writers and artists rejected or pushed back against the core values of the Enlightenment period. What was the Enlightenment period? What was the Age of Enlightenment? The Age of Enlightenment, late 17th to 18th century, also known as the Age of Reason. It focused on logic, rationality, science, order, and progress, and believed that human reason could solve all problems, social, political, scientific. They valued objectivity, universal truths, and rules in arts, politics, and society. When Enlightenment emphasized reason and logic, Romanticism emphasized emotion, intuition, and imagination. When Enlightenment believed in universal truths, Romanticism valued individual perspective and subjectivity. When Enlightenment saw nature as something to master, Romanticism saw nature as mysterious, spiritual, and sublime, as we see nature in Wordsworth's poetry. One of the best examples is Tintin's Abbey. When Enlightenment valued rules and order, Romanticism preferred freedom, spontaneity, and creativity. When Enlightenment focused on rational society, Romanticism focused on the inner self, individual feeling. According to Enlightenment ideas, art and literature should teach or reflect reasons, while according to Romantic ideals, art and literature should express beauty, emotion, and personal truth. For example, novel Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. It critiques Enlightenment faith in science and reason. Dr. Frankenstein, the protagonist of the novel, represents Enlightenment hubris trying to control nature through science, and the consequences of his choices are tragic in the novel. Or Wordsworth's poetry, he writes about emotion recollected in tranquility, the beauty of rural life, and the spiritual power of nature, not scientific reasoning. Romanticism said humans aren't just minds, they're hearts, dreams, instincts, and souls too. The world isn't just a machine, it's a mystery. We're more than logic, we feel. we dream, we wander. So Romanticism didn't hate Enlightenment ideas outright, but it rebalanced the scale in favor of emotion, imagination, and nature, which the Enlightenment often overlooked. Now we know how or why this literary movement emerged. As we have learned, Romanticism celebrates emotion, imagination, nature, and individual experience. Romanticism started in Germany and Britain, then spread across Europe and America. Its key characteristics are emotion over reason. Romanticism values emotion, imagination, and intuition far more than logic and rationality. It celebrates deep emotional experiences, love, despair, joy, terror as central to human existence. Romantic writers often use expressive language to capture intense inner states, sometimes bordering on the irrational or sublime. This is a direct reaction against the Enlightenment emphasis on reason and order. For example, in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Victor's obsessive ambition and the creature's yearning for love reflects emotional extremes that reason cannot control. Nature as sublime. Nature is portrayed as powerful, beautiful, and spiritual, not just a scenic background. It often reflects the mood or the soul of the individual. Calm lakes may suggest peace, while violent storms mirror inner turmoil. The sublime in Romanticism refers to awe-inspiring beauty mixed with terror, reminding humans of their smallness in the universe. Nature becomes a source of mystery, inspiration, and healing, offering refuge from industrial society. For example, in William Wordsworth's poetry, nature is a divine force that nurtures the human spirit. Glorification of the individual. Romanticism celebrates the unique, flawed, passionate individual, especially those who reject societal norms. The romantic hero is often a misunderstood outcast, a rebel, or a visionary. Personal freedom, self-expression, and non-conformity are upheld as virtues, and it emphasizes on the internal world. Memories, dreams, personal identity become central to storytelling. Lord Byron's Byronic hero, which is moody, brilliant, and doomed, becomes an iconic romantic figure. Interest in the supernatural and exotic. The Romantics were fascinated by mystery, the uncanny, or the unknown. Ghosts, dreams, visions, and mystical experiences often appear in their works. They were drawn to medieval ruins, ancient myths, folklore, and far-off lands, elements that evoked a sense of wonder and escape. This interest also reflects a reaction to modern rationalism and industrialization, seeking meaning beyond the material world. For example, Samuel Taylor Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner features ghosts, curses, and a voyage into eerie and supernatural realms. So these were the key characteristics of Romantic literature. Now let's have a look at our Romantic poets and authors. Here comes our big six of the Romantic era. Number one and only, William Wordsworth, in whose poetry nature wasn't just a setting, it was alive, beautiful, and full of meaning. Then we see Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who wrote lyrical ballads, a collaboration with Wordsworth, and Percy Bysshe Shelley and his wife Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein. Percy Shelley vastly contributed to bring change in the society through his revolutionary ideas, seen in his works such as Ode to the West Wind. And then we see John Keats, a brilliant young English romantic poet whose odes are filled with beauty and longing, whose verses shimmer with ethereal beauty, transience, and longing. In his brief life, he captured eternity in moments, an earned silence, a nightingale's song, a fleeting kiss, blending rich imagery with aching emotions. His Ode to a Nightingale and Ode to the Grecian Urn are one of his finest works in romantic poetry. We also see Lord Byron, Victor Hugo and Edgar Allan Poe with works like The Raven and The Fall of the House of Usher. Romanticism made art personal and made nature holy. So this was the Romanticism. And this was the glimpse into the soul of Romanticism, a movement that gave us storms, starlight, and the freedom to feel deeply. If this spoke to something in you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because this is just the beginning. I'll be covering realism and naturalism next, so if you're curious about how literature shifted from emotion to truth and from dreams to gritty reality, stay tuned. Until then, keep reading, keep feeling, and remember, sometimes the heart does know better than the head. See you in the next chapter.